Okay, so our next speaker of the afternoon is the Washington County Chamber of Commerce President and this evening's happy hour, Mr. Jeff Kotula. Please help me welcome Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for that lukewarm round of applause. I always appreciate that when I come to these events. Thank you very much for being here this afternoon. I'd like to thank also our hosts for having me and to talk about the importance, of course, natural gas and natural gas infrastructure in our region. One thing I'd like to concentrate, though, on today is really, you hear nationwide international policy on gas, on energy, on infrastructure, but how does that relate locally? What are we doing locally as county governments and county chambers to really promote the energy industry and ensure that we are also solidifying our country's energy independence from right here locally and at home? So I'd like to start a little bit today just talking about the Washington County Chamber of Commerce, kind of who we are. It lays a little bit of groundwork in terms of what we do, in terms of promoting the industry, who our partners with, and hopefully give you a good sense of where we're at in terms of promoting natural gas in the energy industry. The Washington County Chamber of Commerce is the largest chamber of commerce in the greater Pittsburgh region. There's the Washington County Chamber is one, the Butler County Chamber of Commerce is number 2, and the Greater Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce number 3. We have approximately 1,200 members, and those members are made up of pretty much medium to large size businesses. We have a lot of companies that are energy related, producers, secondary and tertiary suppliers that are also members of ours, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a few moments on how our growth mimicked the growth of the natural gas industry in Washington County in this region. We're also unique because we're not only just a chamber of commerce. About 25 years ago, the County of Washington outsourced its economic development department to us. So what we do is help companies that want to move in, find a new site, looking for public capital to help improve or expand their business. We can help them do that through our economic development efforts. And if you're a company looking to find a site in Washington County, we can do that also. We have an entire list of properties that are available in Washington County to allow those that want to expand or to locate into the county that are reasonable to do it without directly dealing with a real estate agent until they're ready. We also have several arms under us. We have a county authority, which allows us to float bonds for companies. We have the Washington Industrial Development Corporation that can also do statewide bonds, and we also represent the South Point CEO Association. Roughly 10 to 15 years ago, South Point CEOs had their own separate group. They merged into us, and also the County Tourism Agency merged into us a few years ago. So we have an umbrella organization of the Chamber of Commerce, and then all these under organizations under us. Reason being is to avoid duplication. At one time in Washington County, there were 9 separate economic development agencies that didn't include these. So if you had a company that were interested in moving to the county, you would deal with anywhere from 5 to all 9 economic development agencies, and at most times those agencies were not speaking to each other. We were kind of pushing our way out of each other to get at the ribbon cutting, but in terms of being efficient and effective to help those move in, we just weren't doing it. So through the leadership of the chamber and our other partners, we decided to go from 9 to now 4 major agencies in the county, all doing what they do best. The county chamber is pretty good at marketing, we're good at financing, we're awful at brownfield development, I'll tell you that right now. However, our friends at the Redevelopment Authority of the County of Washington are wonderful at brownfield development, they're great at downtown development, so we complement each other's efforts to make sure that we move forward in one direction, in one voice for Washington County. Again, this is going on about 25 years in how we do a single point of contact for the county. So again, if you're interested in moving in the county, relocating, expanding, you come to us and then we can help disseminate that information throughout. The reason being is that most companies, be it energy or manufacturing or even a small mom and pop, typically will start with their Chamber of Commerce first. They'll go there to looking for resources and looking for ways, of course, to expand or locate their business. And again, we want to do what we do best, helping local companies to succeed, while other partners such as job training or the Redevelopment Authority or the County Authority do their own work in terms of moving forward and getting them to basically coordinate those efforts throughout Washington County. We also work very closely with our state partners, the Governor's Action Team, the Governor's Office, the Department of Community and Economic Development, to make sure that we are also maximizing the efforts and minimizing the duplication that we have in Washington County and in the state. Many times, our state is in competition with other states in terms of attracting companies. So we want to make sure that we put our best fit forward in Pennsylvania and also advocate for those policies, such as a reduction in the corporate net income tax, for us to make sure that we can be competitive with other states. And we also deal a lot with community partners. We want to make sure that we have our ear to the ground in Washington County, dealing with your United Ways or Community Action Southwest, which is now Blueprints, or other organizations that not necessarily may be economic or business organizations, but have those members that make up their boards or work with very closely, again, just to see if they're hearing anything and how we can ensure that all of us move together as one. And such, we do serve as the county's lead economic development agency in terms of working with companies and getting them into manufacturing. We do a lot of business outreach and advocacy as well, which is really the foundation for any economic development group. Keeping your ear to the ground, seeing what's happening in your community, and making sure that you can be not only proactive, but reactive in engaging our business community. We do a lot of business outreach. My staff and I will go out and visit anywhere from 125 to sometimes 200 individual companies a year, just going out, introducing ourselves or revisiting them just to see what they're doing and how we can help them to expand. Sometimes you may not hear from them for a year or two afterwards, but at least they know that they can go somewhere for assistance. And we also do a lot in working with our state partners through properties such as PREP, our other regional economic development partners, and then also too with other private groups such as the National Association of Industrial Office Properties, in which we'll host bus tours to come down and tour sites throughout Washington County. We also partner very closely with our local municipalities in terms of the Pennsylvania State Association of Township Officials, and then of course engage a lot in the downtown businesses to make sure that our downtowns are revitalized. We have a very strong marketing effort for Washington County. You can see we do a lot of print ads in the community. Many of those you will not see, simply because you're not our market in this room. We're not marketing ourselves in Washington County. And actually that's the number one, I don't want to say criticism, but the number one comment we receive from people locally is that, we don't see your tourism ads. We don't see your economic development ads. And the answer is always the same. We're not marketing to those that are already in the county. We want you to come from outside the county, bring your business, bring your dollars, and then make sure that you also hopefully bring your families and stay, helping us to grow our economy and our population. It's also interesting to note that Washington County is one of only 2 counties in this region that continue to gain population. Our friends in Allegheny County this past year lost another 50,000, where ours continue to grow. So we like to see that our high taxes, commitment to the energy industry, and of course coordinated economic development is having a long-term payoff for the increased growth of population in our county. And again, we've marketed ourselves under Washington County, the Energy Capital East. We changed our tourism slogan a few years ago to Share the Energy, just to show our ties to Washington, the energy industry, and to really build upon what we're doing. And you can see too, we're very interested in doing a lot of media relations. Anything from op-eds to print ads to things of that nature to really promote the business community, but specifically to your interests, the needs and expansions of the energy industry in this region. I don't need to tell you that, of course, there is always backlash. There's always those that don't believe in the success and positive attributes of the energy industry, but we find that we have to put a counter message out there, a message of growth, a message of positive development, and a message of working together with the industry for entirety of economic growth. And you can see they've even used in the Observer my high school photo, showing that at one time younger people would actually come here too, and I have since updated that. I don't know how that got in there. But the fact of the matter is you have to advocate. You have to be strong advocates for anything you do. in terms of the energy industry, in terms of things that you want in your county and that positive growth, because there's always those people that can be against it. And you cannot sit by and idly think that everyone agrees with you. So we have a business community that took a very proactive effort to make sure that a positive message is getting out there to ensure that we continue to grow and support that industry. It also shows in terms of how people view our county of Washington as well. Make no mistake, when a business is looking to expand or someone's interested in moving into your county, they're doing internet searches. They're seeing what your county government's like. They're looking to see what the overall sense of the community is. They're looking to see if your population is growing. So the more that we have positive stories that reflect the accurate growth of Washington County, the better. And I would suggest there's no one better in this region than our county in putting that information out there. Giving you a county snapshot, 48% of all U.S. businesses are located within this outer ring from Washington County we are today. We're also in 45% of the entirety of the U.S. and Canadian populations. We have 63% in this ring of industrial output for stemming that out. 53% of U.S. buying income and 40% plus of total retail sales happen within these rings. 45 metropolitan markets exceeding $5 billion in sales each in these rings. And then 23 of the top 50 U.S. metropolitan retail markets, including Montreal and of course Toronto, Canada, were in that ring. So you can see we're strategically located in this country to really benefit and grow from existing population trends and markets. Now, how does this all apply to energy? How does everything I just said mean anything in terms of what we're doing? Well, when the first natural gas well was drilled in Washington County, I'll be the first to tell you I didn't completely understand the opportunity. Actually, most people, I don't think, understood the opportunity, and I recall being in some meetings, especially with Range Resources, and quite frankly, I didn't get it. I didn't understand fracking, I didn't understand how the industry works, and I didn't understand the long-term opportunity that we had as a county, a region, and a state for this incredible opportunity that we have. What we did is we tried to educate ourselves first. We tried to educate our business community, the chamber members, our chamber board, to start being advocates for the industry. We brought in several outside observers, those not necessarily connected with the industry, but had a good, unbiased opinion of it that we could allow to go out and really educate. And what we found over building that over several years was that we saw eventually that our population and our citizens started to move towards supporting the industry. It also helped, of course, that as the industry moved in, more people were getting jobs in the industry or getting jobs that supported the industry. And at one time, it was very difficult to even get a reservation at a restaurant or even just walk in a restaurant because there were so many oil and gas workers here. A lot of people it was tough on a lot of people. You know, they were used to going to their favorite restaurant and getting in. They were used to getting quicker service in places they were. But we tried as a business community to really assure our members that this was excellent and something that we needed to promote and something that we needed to push. And we started seeing results. Pittsburgh Magazine at one time did a study on where the resistance to the natural gas industry was. Of course, stemming from Pittsburgh, but if you got out more, the more positive attributes of the industry got out, more people were accepting of it, more people thought that it was an opportunity versus the urban core. And that kind of made sense because they saw it. They saw it on a day-to-day basis. They saw that it wasn't, you know, polluting our land or any of these horrible things that you would hear. You started seeing that, and we as a business community really wanted to keep that going by partnering very closely with the industry, partnering, of course, too, with such organizations as the Marcellus Shale Coalition. So we wanted to make sure that we kept that positivity out there while also recognizing, too, that sometimes things happen. It's an industrial process. Sometimes there's going to be accidents. Sometimes there's going to be people hurt. But it's no different, though, than manufacturing, no different than other positive things that we tend to really appreciate within our industry. And that showed. We also beginning to see the fact that our county commissioners started taking the impact fees that we received last year itself was $12.2 million, and investing that back into the community and back into the county. One particular example is the county commissioners put a lot of money into upgrading our county parks, Mingo, Cross Creek, 10 Mile, and others. And I would challenge you to find any better public county parks than we have in Washington County. Those are direct things that people can see and direct positive impacts that the industry has had by us having and welcoming there. We were also very fortunate because we made a very strong play to go out and attract the producers to Washington County, your Range Resources, your CNXs, Consol Energy at the time. We wanted to attract them to Washington County by having a very good and welcoming business environment, something that we could show them, something that would show the county government, the business community, and others working together, supported them and wanting them here. And we're proud to say 6 of the 8 major producers are located within Washington County, the other 2 being located in Butler, and one downtown, there's 9 and 1 more in downtown Pittsburgh. But we wanted to make sure that they had a welcoming environment, that they wanted to come to Washington County, and we showed not only would support them, but also in terms of trying to create an environment that supported them as well within our populations. I don't have to tell you about Washington County in terms of our energy production. We tend to be between 1 and 2 in the most natural gas within this state, and of course Pennsylvania second only to Texas in natural gas production, leading us to the fact that we can become a net energy exporter in our state versus a net energy importer, which has had huge impacts on us as well. We're also looking for ways to take advantage, of course, of the Shell cracker plant, which is a huge success for southwestern Pennsylvania, and I would argue this county as a whole. We see the need in this region for perhaps another 2 to even 3 cracker plants that we can take advantage of. It's really just taking that energy that we have and trying to get it and attract these investments here. You know, as you know, the cracker plant came online a few months ago. So far, so good, but it's also a way for us to use that product and to turn it into other things that people want and our consumers need. This is a little slide that if you guys are familiar with the Step Brothers movie at the very end, Advocacy, possibly you. And that's what I'd like to talk to you and kind of round out this conversation with, is that we need you to also be advocates for the industry. There's still a lot of naysayers out there. There's still a lot of people that will not ever believe that this is a good industry for our region and especially for our country. So we need you in your time of day, anytime you may hear someone maybe say something negative, challenge them with facts. Something that we have tried to do is to make sure that the actual facts are available. Make sure that you talk to them about, not sort of brush them off or just hit them with a counter argument. See what their thoughts are, see what their concerns are, and then use your knowledge of the industry that you are so immensely involved with to help change that opinion. You may not timely change them, but you may give them a different way to look about it. And that's what we have tried to do, is to make sure that, we're not seen as, just industry carnival barkers, as I've been called one time, but as a way to make sure that the correct information is getting out and that the population, of course, can take upon that and make sure that they're getting the correct information. We've had a very successful and will continue to have a very successful relationship with the natural gas providers and the industry within Washington County, but it's something you have to work at. It's something you have to be true partners of, especially when there's such a large opportunity and a large industry that comes to your region. And we want to make sure too that we don't underemphasize the fact that we have to get that natural gas that we have in Washington County in this region to market. We like to say a lot in the county that the power to prosper is right under our feet, but it does us no good keeping it there. Not only do we have to extract it, but we also have to get it to the markets to help consumers and help manufacturers to utilize this natural resource that we have. The Washington County Chamber of Commerce was one of the founding members of the Pennsylvania Energy Infrastructure Alliance, and that is a statewide group that's working together to increase investments in energy infrastructure, primarily pipelines, throughout our Commonwealth. We do a lot in terms of working with the industry, working with those that are transporting it, and also, again, making sure that the correct information on this opportunity is getting out there. I had a discussion with someone just several weeks ago, not too excited about having pipelines, on their way to work, running under a road that they were going towards. They much rather, when you ask them, well, how else can we get this gas to market, because you do know that your lights turn on because of it and the heat in your house works because of it, their answer was, well, can't we just put it on trailer trucks and haul it? I don't think that's a good idea to take one thing that can go through pipeline and add anywhere from 40 to 50,000 trucks per day to the roads, or probably even more. And when you start pointing those things out to people, you can see them start thinking in a different way, to think, and maybe think what they're thinking. They're not thinking the entire thing through. So we try to challenge them a lot in a good way, help them and make sure that we are taking into account their thoughts and concerns, but at the same time trying to get the exact information out. Natural gas has been a true economic development opportunity for our county and for this region. That's something we're going to continue to support by not only encouraging its growth, but also trying to promote its growth throughout our county and region. We also like to make sure that we have a lot of public-private partnerships as well to help get that information out, both on the public and private, business and government, labor and business, to make sure that we're all working together to include this opportunity for us. And of course, one thing that we're lacking though too is that, we have to be ready for these opportunities. And I will be honest with you right now, Washington County is a little behind. We've spent a lot of time building headquarters, office parks, and things of that nature for the region, that we've kind of got away from traditional industrial park development. Manufacturers that come in and want to relocate, because if there's one thing that we learned from the pandemic, you still have to go somewhere to make something. You just can't make titanium from your home on a Zoom call. So we are doing some active involvement now, pushing as a chamber to start looking at industrial sites within Washington County and help to start developing them quickly to make sure that we can take advantage of any business, secondary, tertiary business supplies that come from the Shell plant, or others that want to use natural gas, because we can market that as a low-cost fuel for them as well. That's something that we're taking on, and we're not talking about major 1,000-acre sites. We're looking at how we can get a 50 to 100, 200-acre site and get those up, because the time to turn those around and get them up and running is a lot quicker than a larger site, which we have to take, of course, some time on. And again, being self-advocates, going out there, making sure the great information that we have in this industry is moving forward and getting the correct information out there. These are things that we have done as a county. I think they've been successful. I think that we also have a long way to go. We try to continually evolve in what we do, try to change as the market changes. But these are things that we've done successfully with your help as industry advocates and industry leaders. And we also always stand ready to continue working with you and to make sure that we all move forward together as one, helping to create a new century of energy independence for the United States. So I didn't want to go too long for you this afternoon. I did want to make and leave some room for some opportunities for discussions. Because again, one thing that we find valuable is seeing what you're hearing out in the community. What can we be doing better as a chamber, as a county government, on helping to promote the industry, helping to promote infrastructure development for the industry as well. So I'll leave it there, but would welcome any questions or welcome your thoughts on how we can move forward. Sir.
Yeah, the first question is the various state and federal political delegations that come from this part of the state. Are they in sync with, would you say, the positive benefits of the natural gas industry?
It's interesting you should say that. Natural gas development in Washington County started under Democrat Board of Commissioners, and it started under Democrat legislative delegation. So when it started 15 years ago, all of our state and local leaders were all Democrats. And it was interesting because they were all on board with it. They all supported it. They all made sure that their voices were being heard in Harrisburg because it's a great job creator for them, and I don't know any politician that doesn't like to take credit for jobs. But they saw the potential. We worked very closely with the county commissioners at the time, and still do today, on how we can work together to ensure responsible energy development. And you also hear about the two sides, of course, of the political discussion. What ours really concentrated was responsible energy development, which I don't think any company would disagree with. And I think that was the true success of it. Now, we also hosted a few times delegations from the Philadelphia area and others, and we were surprised, not so much of the fact that they were not for the industry, but the fact they didn't know much about it, which I was really shocked a few times, because the state is generating a lot of money from the industry, of course. And they were kind of woefully ignorant in the fact that they didn't know a lot about it, but we use that to help educate them. We'd bring them out, show them not only the positive impacts in terms of job creation, but also what those impact fees could go to. We also hosted a few times some other delegations from local counties that were getting into it. Myself, I would go out and speak to other chambers around the region, to talk about it, and we thought we got some good things out of it. So the interesting part was, I think a lot of it was confusing that, the Democrats here in southwestern Pennsylvania, what's left of them, are very supportive of the industry. And of course, our Republican delegation has been tremendously supportive of the industry in the state. Don't get them confused what happens on a national level. Another question? Sir.
As far as you talk about pipeline infrastructure, are landowners, are they generally receptive to pipelines being run across their properties? Is that something that the chamber can educate them on?
We have, but we've done more kind of overall policy work in terms of getting information out there, as I've been saying, but I have not encountered any landowner that's had a majority of an issue with it. What happens is, in a lot of cases, others have issues with it, and then applies pressure to local landowners to not allow that to happen. But once you can get them with the right information, meeting with the right people to allay their concerns, I've not heard of any major issues within this county in terms of pipeline development. Any other questions? Did I lull you to sleep? None being heard? Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. Sure. Oh, thank you. Very kind of you. Thank you. I appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. Thank you for having me. Hey, how are you, my man? Good to see you. Everything well?
Good seeing you. Yeah.
Good. I was focusing on you. I was hoping you didn't have a good tough question.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeff. So we're going to take our last 20-minute break before our final
Grab that
keynote
microphone
speaker
from
for the
you,
day.
sir.
Before we do
Great job
the
up there.
Thank you. That was all right?
I do want to
very
take a
good.
moment. Our program director,